There was a boy who could fly. Not every day, though, only on Tuesdays, and not far either, just around his garden. But on those Tuesdays, he was unstoppable. The first time it happened, he was 6, and it was raining cats and dogs. He looked out of his bedroom window and saw the rain falling in thick sheets, each drop exploding on impact with the ground. Then he looked down at his feet, and something strange happened. His shoes were floating, not just floating, flying away. They flew over the garden wall, one shoe landing on top of the shed, the other disappearing into the weeping willow tree. The boy opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came out. He tried to run after his shoes, but his feet wouldn't move. They were glued to the spot, and that's when he realized he was flying, not in the air, but in the water, propelled by the force of the wind and the rain. He flew all around his garden, faster than a speeding car, higher than a diving bird, skimming over flower beds, sailing past trees, spinning and flipping through the air like an acrobat. It only lasted a few minutes, but when it was over, he was breathless and exhausted. He landed, or rather flopped onto the grass, soaked to the bone, shivering and crying. His mother found him there and hugged him tight. She wrapped him in a towel and made him hot chocolate. When he was warm and dry, she asked him what had happened, where his shoes had gone and how he'd got so wet. He told her everything, but she didn't believe him. "You were flying," she said, "in the rain." She shook her head and smiled. "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard." He never told her again. In fact, he kept it a secret for many years. He didn't tell anyone until he was 21. And even then, it was only because someone had dared him to jump into a pond in the middle of a storm. The moment he did, he was flying again, soaring through the air, whooping with laughter. That was the last time he'd been truly happy. After that, things started to change. Every Tuesday he would fly around his garden, reliving his joy, remembering his freedom. And every Wednesday he would wake up feeling terrible. His shoulders ached, his head pounded, and his stomach was in knots. Flying on a Tuesday meant suffering on a Wednesday. Then one day he discovered why. It was the shoes. Every time he flew, his magic shoes, the ones his mother had thrown away, would pull him back to earth, dragging him down with their weight. The harder he tried to fly, the heavier the shoes became. He tried to outrun them, but they were too powerful, tried to hide from them, but they always found him, tried to destroy them, but they just kept coming back. He couldn't get away from them. He couldn't escape the pain, and so he stopped flying. For years, he locked himself in his room, drawing pictures of birds, tracing the flight paths of airplanes, watching documentaries about Icarus, reading stories about Peter Pan. He dreamed of being free again, of feeling the wind beneath his wings, of tasting the freedom of flight. Then one day he met a girl. She was kind and funny and beautiful, with hair like spun gold and eyes like the summer sky. He fell in love with her, and he wanted to share his garden with her, to show her the roses he'd grown from seeds and the trees he'd planted as a boy, to feel the sun on his face and the breeze in his hair as they walked hand in hand along the paths. But he was afraid she'd laugh at him, afraid she'd think he was crazy, afraid she'd leave if she knew the truth. So he hid it from her, too. They fell in love, and soon they were married. He built her a house in the garden, a place where the walls were thin and the windows were tall, so she could see the birds and the bees and the butterflies. They had 2 children, a boy and a girl. And every Tuesday he would take them flying, soaring above the rooftops, diving through the clouds, racing the wind, showing them the world from a different perspective. He never flew without them. And every Wednesday he would hold them close, whispering stories of adventure and bravery, teaching them that even when life knocks you down, you have to get back up and keep going, because the pain will pass and the sun will shine again. That's what he told them anyway, because he knew the truth. The only way to escape the pain was to fly. But he also knew that if he stopped flying, the shoes would find him and drag him down. So he kept flying, even if it meant living in pain, because what's the point of living forever if you can't remember why?